Transparent openness and airtight quarantine are difficult to achieve at the same time, because allowing the necessary movement and exchange while preventing COVID-19 from spreading beyond borders is challenging. Special entry procedure is the result of the many thoughts given by Korea to meet these two contradicting needs. After the COVID-19 has been declared as a pandemic, Korea has required all travelers, regardless of their nationality, to undergo the special entry procedure. The special entry procedure is a quarantine system made up of several layers of safety measures. Those getting on ships or airplanes bound for Korea must fill out and submit facility quarantine agreement in advance. This agreement details on the 14-day quarantine period that must be adhered to after entering Korea. The location for the 14-day quarantine will be assigned according to the circumstances of the person making the entry. Koreans and long-term visitors with residences in Korea are quarantined at home. Given that short-term visitors do not have a place of residence in Korea, they are mandated to stay in a government-designated quarantine facility and are required to pay for the use of the facility. However, diplomatic visa holders and those with quarantine exemption certificate issued by the Korean embassy prior to their entry, for the reasons of urgent business, academic events, the public interest, or humanitarian services, are exempted from mandatory quarantine. As the imported cases of COVID-19 increased, the Korean government expanded the scope of those subject to the mandatory diagnostic test since March 22, 2020, in a stepwise manner. Today, all inbound travelers are subject to diagnostic tests, regardless of whether or not they show symptoms. All travelers to Korea must be tested for COVID-19 3 times, before and immediately after entering Korea, and before the end of mandatory quarantine period. Even after receiving tests, the entrants must have the SelfCheck App installed to their phones. The SelfCheck App was developed to overcome the limitations of the existing one-way management. Entrants must submit the results of the self-check on symptoms including fever, coughs, and sore throat once a day during their quarantine period, whether they have symptoms or not. Even those who are exempted from quarantine must also use the SelfCheck app to minimize possible issues that may occur from quarantine exemption. Generally, foreigners have difficulty accessing administrative information and services of other nations, and also have difficulty in actively cooperating in quarantine procedures due to linguistic barriers. Considering the overall difficulties, the Korean government converted the Immigration Contact Center, which provides services in 20 languages, into a 24-hour emergency center, providing foreigners with information including COVID-19 preventative guidelines and locations of screening centers. Also, interpretation services are provided for foreigners showing symptoms of COVID-19, so they can contact the Korea Disease Control and Prevention Agency call center 1339 as soon as possible to receive treatment. Furthermore, the administrative inconveniences of the foreigners are minimized, reducing movement and contact to ultimately lower the risk of hazards from the spread of the virus. By postponing crackdown on illegal immigrants, active diagnostic tests have been encouraged to ensure that the virus is not out of the control of the health authorities. We had to give up many things due to the COVID-19. However, what we will not be giving up are our missions and efforts to overcome the current crisis. Korea will seek to find better solutions through international solidarity and cooperation, because it is the right thing to do for everyone's future.